Hello everyone, my name is Jillian, this is my channel, and today I want to talk about things I want to work on. I am pretty big into growth, I guess, just being a better person, being self-aware, understanding where you can be better. I wouldn't say I'm like that in a corny or annoying way, but I would say I'm like that, period. So I'm gonna talk about I think 5 or 4 things that I would like to work on. We're gonna go a little more in depth, and I don't know. Alright, I think that's about all I have to say. So the first thing I have on my list is going to the gym more. Guys, please don't click off the video. I swear to God I have more interesting stuff to say. I know that everyone says this, but I don't really mean it in an unhealthy way. I don't really want to use the gym as unhealthy fuel for body issues, and I don't want it to be a way for me to try and lose weight. That's not what I'm trying to focus on. I just want to use it to be stronger because I'm honestly kind of a scrawny guy, and I don't really like that. I want to be really buff. This is not buff. This is not buff. That's not buff. I really want super buff arms. I don't know why, that's just so appealing to me. I'm that would be so cool. I just want to be a sizable amount of buff, you know what I mean? That just seems so cool. And I rarely go to the gym. I have access to the gym because my school takes gym trips. They have a special deal with a local gym, so I could go to the gym if I wanted to. I just honestly don't want to, and I don't want to, not because I don't want to go to the gym itself. I just don't know how to work out. And if I go to the gym, which I used to a little bit more often, once a week, then I would just do cardio, which is still what I do every time I go to the gym. I don't really do anything else. Quite frankly, nothing else. I don't know how to do any lifting or weights. I don't know how to use any of the machines. And also, an important thing to note is that I do not have physical discipline at all. In my opinion, I have a lot of mental discipline. For example, impulse control. I have a lot of mental discipline, but when it comes to physical discipline, pushing my body harder and being uncomfortable physically, I hate it. I hate doing that. It's just so annoying to me. It seems like such a chore. And I don't know. Also, I know that the half the point of going to the gym is also eating healthy, and I can't really control what I eat because I don't cook my own food. Like I said, I go to a boarding school, so I can't. Broke my fucking necklace that my friend got me. Oh, that's really upsetting. Okay, what was I talking about? Oh, I can't really cook my own food. I don't have a kitchen in my dorm. I just don't have access to my own food unless I'm home, but that's different. And also I don't really know how to cook, so I'm kind of fucked. But I would go to the gym more just because I want to get stronger. I want to push myself to be more uncomfortable because that's good, I guess, if you're building up a little more discipline, and I want that. Okay, moving on. My social anxiety. I know I've talked about this a lot, but I have really bad social anxiety. To be fair, it's gotten a lot better recently, but it's definitely not the best. I have this terrible cycle of being confident and then doing something really minor that's stupid or awkward, or saying an unfunny joke or something, and then getting really insecure about it and really beating myself up about it, and therefore being less confident. And then because I'm less confident, I do more of those stupid or awkward minor things, and then I'm even more unconfident, and it's just this cycle of self-esteem issues, and it's just come on guys, can my brain work with me? Can we be nice to myself for once in my life? I don't know. I know that you just gotta be nice to yourself, you just gotta have confidence, but I am not like that. I am not like that at all. So gonna try and work on that. And I think some of the things I need to do to fix this sort of cycle is probably mainly care less about that stupid or awkward minor thing in the first place, because obviously it's not that big of a deal, right? But also figure out, I think this is also kind of a main one, figure out ways to be confident that don't rely on other people's actions to my behavior. For example, when I'm funny and people laugh, I should focus more on the fact that I made a funny joke over the fact that people laughed. if that makes sense. So more like intrinsic motivation, like as to why I should like myself over like extrinsic motivation, because that's just not as healthy and like productive. Always chasing someone's desires and wants for you, it's just not fair to yourself because you're never gonna meet them. And especially for me, I already have really high standards for myself, so it's just like, okay. But okay. Alright, moving on. Challenging myself more academically. I kind of already do this. I do really well in school, but I don't really feel like I push myself. Once I do a little past the bare minimum on an assignment, I just submit it. Like, I just don't really push myself. Even if I know I can do better, I often just let it go and leave it alone. And it kind of bites me in the ass, especially with tests and quizzes, because like I don't really look over my answers, and then I get like a little bit lower of a grade than I expected because like I didn't look through it, and I didn't like really lock in on like the careless mistakes, because I always have careless mistakes, especially with math. I just do like one little thing wrong and it messes up like all of it, and it's so annoying. But like I think that's also kind of a me problem because I have really bad like ADHD, so I like truly could not lock in and like find the answers even if I tried, which is kind of something that I've learned about myself. Just like, it's not gonna happen, you know? But I mean, it's probably a better idea to like push myself in the first place, especially with like essays and projects. For example, let me give you a personal example that hits close to home because it just happened. I just finished a science project. It was a really big thing. It was like a super big grade, like bigger than a test. Hi, I don't know if you noticed, but I switched cameras. The other one just got really foggy for like no reason, and I tried to fix it, but I think I made things worse. So we're back on my computer, which is honestly trusty and reliable. What was I thinking, you know? Anyways, yeah, okay, back to my little example. So I had a science project worth a big portion of my grade, and I actually don't know what my grade was yet. I could be totally wrong, but I personally feel like I did do a great job. Everyone in my class was like, it was kind of a competition, because let me set the tone, right? It's basically like Shark Tank. Basically, we had to come up with like an invention that was renewable energy, and we had to pitch it to my teacher, who was representing a bank that had unlimited money. And the invention had to be like some sort of form of renewable energy, like clean energy, and I decided to do lightning. Like, I decided to make an invention that used lightning and repurpose lightning, and that was a terrible idea because you can't do that. Like, you just can't. Like, it's not possible yet, hopefully one day. But because I actually made two different versions of my invention, one was like this big thing, it was super expensive, it was like crazy big scale, and it just was too expensive to be so unpredictable, because the thing about lightning is no one can predict when lightning will strike anywhere. Like, it's just so unpredictable. There's no real pattern to it yet, as far as we know. So you can't like spend a bunch of money on something if you don't even know if the lightning's ever gonna strike it, you know? And that was just a big problem, because it's like a bank isn't gonna spend a bunch of money on something, even if they have unlimited money, on something they don't even know if it's ever gonna happen, you know? So I switched to something smaller that was probably more likely to get struck by lightning, but even still, it's kind of like too big of an idea. And my teacher, who's like a great guy, like I love this guy, he told me going into it, like, I think it's too big of an idea, like it's just so large scale, like it's so impossible to actually do. And I was like, okay, that's fair, like I understand what you're saying. So I kind of knew going into it that it probably wasn't gonna work, but people in my class were like, you're gonna win, because it was a competition to see who would get the investment, right? Or who would convince the investors the most. And everyone's like, you're gonna win, not a humble brag, but honestly, I don't think that I did. I don't know when we're gonna find out. I think like tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, but I just doubt that I'm ever gonna get the first place or even like a really nice grade, because I was shooting too high, I think, and I tend to do that. But I just didn't really like push myself in the way that I should have. Maybe I pushed myself too hard. Maybe I went too hard in the other direction. But in my opinion, I feel like I didn't make my project realistic enough. And that wasn't a good idea. Okay, moving on. Another one that I really want to work on is my self-esteem. I have really bad self-esteem. Oh, I'm also not trying to compliment fish. I wanted to make that clear. Fish for compliments, you know what I mean. I have always forever struggled with my self-esteem in a lot of different ways, but especially with my looks. and it really consumed me, you know. I mean, I've gotten better recently with how insecure I am, but it's still a really big thing for me. And I know that it's normal, but for me specifically, it really ruins my day and brings me down sometimes. So, you know, it's kind of a big thing for me. Like, I've just never been confident, and it's always really struck a chord with me. So I really just want to have a little more self-confidence and just feel a little bit better about myself. Like, which, to be fair, like I said, I have done. I've gotten a lot better about it, but I think there's always room for improvement, you know what I mean? So the main ways I think I can get better, I guess, is probably most importantly, radically accept that I just don't always like the way I look, you know? It's never gonna happen. You're never always gonna like your looks. You're never always gonna like everything about yourself. It's just not gonna happen, you know? Because as humans, we are like our biggest critiques, and it's just never gonna change, really. Like, you're always gonna have something to say about yourself, more than probably anyone else. Also, cutting myself some slack and giving myself empathy, because that's important, obviously. You need to understand where you're coming from. You need to have, like I said, a sense of empathy. That's really important. And I think maybe most practically, finding ways to like myself that aren't unhealthy and that I don't rely on. For example, like dyeing my hair or putting on a fun outfit or like doing an interesting eyeshadow look that I really like, you know? Like, I would say makeup, but a lot of people rely on makeup to like feel good about how they look, which I like totally get. I don't really feel like I do that. I really like makeup just because I think it's so fun to do. Like, I really like doing makeup. I do my makeup like every day. It's kind of bad, but I just really like doing it. Like, I really like the process. It's so enjoyable for me, and you can be so creative about it. But I know a lot of people rely on makeup, so I didn't really put that in there. Also, because I've kind of had a good bit of experience with insecurity, I have some pieces of advice, which I don't know if they'll be helpful or not, but it really helped me to think about it this way. 2 things. Number 1, this is kind of a really specific one, but it's really practical for me. Instead of being like jokingly mean to yourself or jokingly self-deprecating, like, haha, like I hate myself, or haha, like this, I look terrible like this, you'd be like jokingly really confident. Because like, even if you're joking right now, it kind of like manifests more internally, and like you kind of like start to take it more seriously. Even if you mean it as a joke, it kind of like becomes a habit, and then you just start feeling that way more about yourself. It just kind of seeps in deeper, you know? And also, another one, this is kind of more like a simple one, but I mean, honestly, it kind of helped me. I know it's like really plain and straightforward, but yeah, like I said, it helped me. Even if you don't like everything about yourself one day, like if you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you feel really disappointed in yourself, point out one thing you do like and focus on that the most. I know this is like it seems not helpful, but like for me, it really helped, because I remember one day I was in this residential and I was looking at myself in the mirror in the bathroom. I was like, oh my God, I look terrible today. And I remembered that piece of advice, and I just like looked at my shirt and I was like, I like my shirt. And it's like, okay, if you're focusing on this one thing that you like, that's at least one thing, you know? Like, hey, maybe I don't like everything about myself, but I like this shirt, I like the outfit I put on, I like the makeup I did, I like the cool little look I did. Like, you have something, you know? And you can kind of cling on to that one thing, appreciate it, you know? You still have one thing. So that really struck a chord with me. And then finally, my final little point thing, creativity. I have so much trouble coming up with my own ideas now compared to the past. And I know I do have a lot of passion and creativity, but it's all in really abstract and like complicated ways, so it's hard to actually channel it into one idea that I can like actually create. And often, like when I'm drawing, for example, I draw one person or thing, and then I immediately lose all motivation to draw anything else. Like, come on, I know I can do better, you know? And I'm a really quick and inconsistent person. I never know when I'm gonna wanna be creative, obviously, and I'm definitely not gonna force myself to be creative because it just makes it feel like a chore. But I think in response, I'm gonna try to push my brain and mind to be more imaginative, kind of vague, I know. Incorporate more whimsical or unrealistic elements in my art, like the way I draw, I think you get it. And then I really want to like use less technology or like references to like create art. I just want to like try and do something straight off the dome, which I've always really struggled with. I mean, I used to just do stuff straight off the dome when I was younger, and then I realized that references exist, and it changed my entire life. But I can't draw for the life of me without a reference. It's terrible. Like, it's really bad. So I need to lock in and try and actually think for once by myself. So, thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and bye.